your cell phones and stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, mystery Skype, Mrs. Stager and Mrs. Theophilus.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, I'm Morgan Theophilus, and this is Amy Sager. We have a co-taught fifth grade classroom. Our students are here tonight to tell you a little bit about Mystery Skype, which is a fun student-centered activity that we do. Amy and I both wrote a grant through the Teacher Center, and with that, we were each given 5 iPads for 3 years. So when we do a Mystery Skype, all of our students are able to have their own device.
So the skills that are acquired through this type of activity, using this type of technology, is really an immeasurable experience for our students, and not something that can really be obtained in a traditional classroom setting. We've been so lucky to have these iPads from the Teacher Center for the last 3 years, and during these Mystery Skype experiences, every single child in our classroom is engaged and working collaboratively with one another. The students strengthen their listening and speaking skills. They learn deductive reasoning, problem solving, and they research with an authentic purpose. They also learn that they're members of a global community. When our students are willing to come to school an hour before school starts in order to Skype with classes around the world who have a different time zone than us, it's clear that they really enjoy that. So they're going to share about some of the jobs that the students have.
Hi, my name is Charlie Gagliano. Mystery Skype is an activity we do in our class where we Skype with classrooms from all around the country and even the world. I start our Mystery Skype sessions off with another student in my class by greeting the classroom that we are Skyping and with. And then I join the question generator think tank where I work with other students to come up with questions that we would ask of the other class in order to try to find out their location. Some of the places we have Skyped with this year are North Carolina, Delaware, and our latest one was with Sweden. Mystery Skype is a fun activity, and I can't wait for our next one.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Agel, and my job is to ask yes or no questions, so as a group we can try to narrow down the location of the other class. I am in front of the computer, so the other class we are Skyping with can see me. Another important job that is the question think tank. Students in this group are the ones coming up with the questions for people like me to ask. The think tank sends questions to me through Google Docs, and then me and my partner choose which questions we should ask the other class. We all have to work together in order to pinpoint their location.
Hi, my name is Trey Rosigliano, and I'm a responder. A responder's job is to answer the questions the other class asks us. I sit in front of the room with a computer. When the other class asks us a question, all of the students in the responder think tank and myself use a computer or iPad to try to answer the question, often by first referring to a map. When we find the answer, a student will tell me the answer, and then I relay our answer onto the class we are Skyping with.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Murphy. One of the jobs from the Mystery Skype is the tweeter. We have a class Twitter account, and every day our teachers pick someone to be tweeter of the day using our class number sticks. During the Mystery Skype, this person types every question and answer for our class and the other class. Another job is the photographer. This student takes pictures of our classmates working hard during the Skype. Thank you for listening. Do you have any questions?
How many kids? Is it just you 4? No.
The whole class?
Yeah, the whole class. We have 21 kids in our class, so all 21 participate.
And they each have a job. So the think tank has about 7 students, both think tanks, and then each child has another job. We don't get 4 to come tonight, but we have some students entering data into a spreadsheet on the questions we ask. we have to refer to that Google Sheet to see what their answer was and everything.
So how did you pick the locations that you're working with? This is for like Sweden or wherever else?
We have a lot of connections, I guess, through our networks that we use, classes around the world that Skype, and there's a huge Google spreadsheet that we share throughout where people sign up and then we just contact.
Very fun.
Just whoever's
Is there a big time difference between Sweden and us?
Yeah.
What is what is it? What is it?
Sleeping.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember what that was?
It was like 3 or 4.
So we're coming into school and they're in the afternoon?
7:30 our time they came in.
So 6-hour difference. Wow. That's pretty awesome. So you're tweeting and you're using Skype. Do you guys use this at home too?
No.
Trey does.
Trey does. Okay. What an awesome experience.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
We need a picture. We're going to take a picture of you. So Mrs. Theophilus and Mrs. Steger and your children, we're going to take a picture up here by the flag.
Squeeze in, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Is this me?
You got it.
There's no request to draw specific items from consensus, so item 4, routine actions, approval of consensus items. Recommended motion that upon the following consensus items be approved as listed in the administrative, oh my gosh, I can't speak, memorandum A through Q.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Okay, this is the approximate position and time that the board has designated to receive statements from individuals and groups. The board will review all statements and respond appropriately at a future meeting. All persons in attendance are required to sign the attendance sheet and designate their representation status. For example, a parent, teacher, bus driver, chamber of commerce, etc. There is a 2-minute time limit. Anybody?
Good evening. My name is Allison Minicke. I am the president of the drama club here at the high school. On behalf of the cast, crew, and pit of the musical, we would like to thank you for your unanimous support.
It was awesome.
The show was a huge
It was
success.
so much fun.
I know there's a couple girls standing around, so the girls that were here that were in the show, just raise your hands. There's a couple over here, so we just
Very
like to
good.
thank you.
It was so much fun. And for me, the reason it was so much fun, and this is what I told Mrs. Schnoffer, is because you guys looked like you were having fun.
It was truly a
Yeah,
blast.
it was. Thank you so much, Allison.
My name is Kathy Jeffers. I'm representing the music department. And first, I want to thank the board for doing a very difficult job. Thank you for the job that you do. And I also want to thank everyone here who is attending tonight to be informed about our school. As you know, Eden has a history of having a strong music program. There are families who have moved into Eden because of this reputation of a strong music program. The About Us page on our school website states, and I quote, "The district has long been recognized in the Western New York area for its outstanding academic achievement, a music program that has consistently received county and state recognition, and a comprehensive, successful athletic program." That being said, I'm here today because I'm very concerned about the proposed cut to the string program. Currently, we have one full-time string teacher for grades 6 through 12 and a part-time string teacher for grades 4 and 5. The time was cut from our part-time teacher 2 years ago, and the 6th grade ensemble and lessons were added to the full-time position. With that change, the full-time position was now responsible for 7 different grade levels instead of 6, 3 orchestras instead of 2, 3 levels at Grant County and State instead of 2, 8 evening concerts instead of 6. Please note that the number of students taking string instruments did not change. The string program at Eden has had very stable numbers going back 30 years. With the additional proposed cuts, one person would be responsible for all 9 grades, 5 ensembles, 11 evening concerts. And that doesn't even count the extras that often are part of the program, such as playing for board meetings, having fiddle club, going to BPO concerts, all county and all state chaperoning. Doesn't even count those. I'm very concerned because this is no longer a strong music program. My suggestion for this year only, dip into our reserves and then ramp up our letter writing campaign to have state funding restored to our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Cheryl Johnson. I'm a taxpayer and a parent of 2 children here. My husband and I made the choice to move to Western New York about 10 years ago, and we decided to settle back in my home community of Eden for 2 reasons. One, because it was a small town, tight-knit community, and secondly, because Eden has a reputation of being an excellent school. Not only is it an excellent school in academics, it's also an excellent school because of its fine arts program. I have a 7th grader and a 4th grader. Both students take they fully embrace both the academics and the fine arts in this school, and we have not been disappointed in any way. We've been really, really pleased with the education and the opportunities that our children have been afforded. As a taxpayer and a voter, I emphatically voted yes for your capital improvements, but I did believe then that you were fully behind your fine arts program with those capital improvements. I'm heartbroken to hear that there's a possibility that anything could be cut from the fine arts. You know, the art, the music, and the theater programs. I would be very sad to see any of those gone. Several years ago, I was able to be on the committee, the Bicentennial Committee for our town, and we put out a townwide call for a logo for the Bicentennial, and I had the pleasure of getting to be one of the people who chose the new logo. And it was one of your students. I apologize, I don't remember her name, but her piece of artwork was just outstanding, very impressive. And while she certainly had some natural talent, she had excellent guidance from your teachers. So our school, it attracts a lot of young families. When I talk to my friends in the community, they love this school. And they chose to live in Eden because of this school. So please don't give any family a reason to steer away from this community because you would cut the fine arts. And just lastly, real quickly, I'm actually an 87 graduate from Eden. I studied under Mary Jeffers. I was a violinist. And I still, at age 46, I still play my violin all the time.
That's awesome.
I play in the community, I play for my church, and I have played ever since the day I graduated from Eden. So, and it brings me great enjoyment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Emily Kuster. I'm a 9th grade student of this high school. I enjoy music and arts so very much. I actually have pictures if you want to pass these around. The memories we make from the musical All-County NYSSMA extracurricular musical activities is great. I love going there. I love spending time. But if the teachers are so built up with work that they have to do concentrating on all of the 9 grades, they will no longer have time to spend with us after school and to help us get that extra boost that everyone seems to enjoy. So I would hate to see anything musically go or art go because it's just great to have that in the high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
Hello, my name is Jolie Springborn. I've been playing cello as well as participated in the high school in play for very many years. I've been a participant for 6 years playing the cello. I, as well as many other people in the elementary and the high school orchestra, we enjoy NYSSMA and All County, as well as possibly learning a new instrument. And because of our teachers, we've had an opportunity for extracurricular opportunities such as that. And part of being in the orchestra or sports or in the drama club is to learn something new. And if our teacher has so much on their hands teaching the 4th through 12th grade orchestra, they might not have much time to teach us these new things. That's all I have to say.
Thanks,
Thank
Julie.
you.
Hello, my name is Julia Cristo, and this is Cecilia Caselli. On behalf of the elementary school, we would like to thank you for the support of the elementary musical, The Lion King. We hope that you continue to support us in the future. I'm sorry, this is Cecilia Kravinsky.
Hello, I'm Isabel Mason Brown, and I am an alum as well as a community member. But I don't have children in the district, but I'm still here because I'm concerned about what the potential cuts mean for our district. I've had the wonderful opportunity to be able to come back and give back to the arts programs, both at the elementary and at the high school level, and I would love to be able to do that again at some point. But I can't if the program doesn't exist. And while we're not talking about extracurriculars right now, if you're willing to cut your curricular teachers, what does that say about our after-school programs? Just as the students were just talking about, the curriculum has to be first, and if the students aren't exposed to and training in their arts and their music, what impetus is there to have an after-school program? And I think that those are the big questions that have to be asked. In addition to why are we funding a capital campaign for facilities that will not be used if there aren't teachers. I also am a practicing performing artist, and I have to credit the elementary music and art education that I got here at Eden for my personal artistic identity. And I want the students who are coming to the district now to be able to do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Hall. I have 2 kids in the district, 5th and 8th grade. And Jen?
My name's Jennifer Gabrielle. I'm a 13-year-old in 8th grade this year.
And I wanted to tell you about our Music and Arts Boosters, because we are so excited. There's a group of volunteers that have been working, what, Bonnie, a couple years? We've been meeting and talking, and the actual process of getting established. And we're done. We are an official 501.
That's so cool.
Stuff done and to start moving forward with some things. And we do have some cards that we had printed, so if you want to each take one, it has information about it. But
I think it's important to say that what's on that bumper sticker is the logo, too. So before you leave, would you just take a moment to just talk about that, too?
The logo
on
our card?
Yes.
Thanks. No, Allison did a dance. Yes, a dance. Okay, so we did have a logo contest, and we had a good number of students submit logos, wonderful logos, and so the winner here was Allison Winnicke. So we've got her logo on this little card.
That's very good.
Our mission is really to support current and future music and arts student programs, K through 12 in the Eden Central School District. Our goals are really to bring awareness of the music and arts program needs, also to advocate for our students so they can discover and enrich their creative talents, and to encourage collaboration with the local arts and music community. We have a large group of people that want to support music and arts in this community. We've heard from a few people already. And people look us up at events. They say, oh my goodness, you have a booster group started. So they come to us and say, well, how excited they are, what can they do, what can they do? I've been speaking publicly for about 5 or 6 years in support of music and other things, and I was looking back through some of the statements that I had said, and back in 2014, one thing I said was, I believe there are opportunities to engage the community in this effort, and the effort is supporting a strong music program. And here we are with the Booster Group in Eden and have an engaged community. And I think more and more now that we are fully established, we will see that. So please, if you have questions about anything music, art related, come see us. We would be happy to help or provide input on various things. So I know budget decisions are tough. We certainly do not want to diminish our academic opportunities for students, but without the things like music and arts, we may run the risk of students that are less engaged academically, not as well-rounded coming out of as a graduate, and not as well-rounded going into college. And creativity, we are all sitting around this table, every job we have, creativity is part of that, and we need to really enrich and develop and cultivate those things through our music and arts program. So thank you very much.
Good job, though.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bonnie Springborn, and I'm here both as a parent and as fundraising chair for the Eden Music and Arts Boosters. I don't want to repeat what some of the others have said. They've done a very nice job of talking about what Eden has to offer, what they've offered in the past, and what the Boosters is all about. I am speaking on behalf of the string position. I do have a 9th grade daughter, and she is a cello player. She was speaking today, so very proud of her. She's been playing cello since 4th grade, and she was inspired to love classical music through this program. Believe me, she didn't learn that at home. We're not playing classical music in our house, but she wakes up and plays classical music getting ready for school. We hear it through the door, and it's a beautiful thing. She learned that as a direct result of the teachers in this school. She asks to go to Kleinhans to see the BPO. These teachers in this school, Mrs. Ullman, Mrs. Martella, now Mr. Polino, have had the time to invest in nurturing her love of music, and they have a passion for that. If we lose their ability to share their time with the students, they won't be able to nurture that. They'll just be going through the motions of getting through the day. And that's my biggest concern for my child, and as a booster advocate for the children of this school. So that's what I would like to share today. I'm concerned that without the time that a teacher can invest in the child's nurturing, that we're going to lose string students, and that our large orchestra is going to diminish. And if we're looking to attract families to this district, that initiative is going to also diminish from an arts perspective. As a fundraising chair, we obviously have put this organization together to help these programs because we understand that times are tough, and we understand that your job is very hard right now because of the struggles that you're facing, and we appreciate that. My job as fundraising chair is to try to figure out how are we going to bring those funds in so we can support them. We can raise all the money in the world, but we can't replace the time and attention that's going to be lost if these positions are cut. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mitchell Schnaufer, and I'm a 4th grader. And I play in the orchestra violin. And my teacher helps me because if I went to Erie County, and I wouldn't be able to do that without my teacher, and she wouldn't be able to have the time if she had through 12th graders. Thank you.
Tim Schnuffer. I belong to him. And
He
I just
did a
wanna
good
say-
job, so you have big shoes to fill. Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to say that every year it seems like we got to cut and make hard decisions. And every year the music department seems to be getting the brunt of it. It just appears that way. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I think we need to look at this a little bit more seriously than just taking and cutting another and adding on. I taught for 21 years. It is not an easy position. And to take and add more classes and more classes, everything else gets lost. I encourage those of you who are on the board who have not ever taught to shadow one of the teachers, one of the music teachers, and see exactly what they have to go through in a day or a week. To cut down to one orchestra leader for the entire district is impossible. And I think you need to look at that in another way. You cannot do that in man hours. Not without physically taking away time from the students who have come up here and made known that without the music program, they couldn't do the things they need to do. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Barb Henry. I'm a parent in Eden and a former board member. And I'd like to come up here to talk to you about a few different things. It is about the music. So, and I just made these notes. I heard about it this afternoon that somebody asked me to come up here. So this is real kind of quick. But one of my first questions is for Mrs. Karstead. What is the kindergarten enrollment for 2015, this last fall? Fall right now? Yeah. 79 for the kindergarten enrollment. And do you have any idea or foresight on what the enrollment will be for next fall, 2016?
We're about at the same point that we're last year.
About the same point, about 79? And I did have a little brief talk with our financial director, and he's really basing a lot of this on the enrollment. And now, like I said, this was all cut up, so here's my next. I would like to thank Mrs. Jeffers, Cheryl Johnson, the students, Mrs. Springborn, who was just up here, Mrs. Bates and Brown, the wonderful music boosters, and all of them keeping the arts together. So, and anyways, back to the enrollment. How do you expect to attract new families with a demolished music and arts program? It needs to be attractive when new families are looking at Eden. I understand that everyone that comes up here is asking us to keep the music and arts, but no one has given us a result. We're really looking for the board to come up with an answer of that. And one of my ideas is that don't touch the music and arts department, but literally advertise. What a wonderful, has anyone ever advertised? Is there something against the law that we could not advertise what a wonderful school community this is to boost up our enrollment at all? Another thing I'd like to suggest is to work with the new town board. I think this community has been listening to the school board because they supported the capital project. And I think this community has been listening to the town because they voted a brand new board in for the town board. And the promise that I've heard, what I've heard is that the board and the school were going to work together. So I don't know what they can come up with, but I'd like to see the town and the school board work together a little bit more. And the last thing I'd like to say is I would like to thank Mrs. Allman for a wonderful job. My children have gone through the music department in the elementary, and I have seen her work overtime. I've never had any complaints about things that were done on schedule or on time with her. She knows just what has to be done when, and we would be losing an excellent elementary teacher. Not everybody can teach the elementary as well as she can. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. Mrs. Mrs. Anzalone, Mr. Burness, Mr. Breeden, other esteemed members of the Board of Education of our Eden schools. My name is Eileen Stadelmeyer. My husband Rick and I have been longtime residents most of our lives in the District of Eden. We have 3 boys who have all graduated from Eden High School. They've all been involved with the school musicals. Our youngest was a percussionist playing the band 4th grade through senior year. And each of them have taken with them many great memories, their countless hours spent here at school, performances, musicals, concerts. I myself, I'm a graduate of the Eden schools back in the 70s, and I too have been an active supporter of the music program in the beginning through my participation. I took lessons starting 4th grade and continued till I was a senior. I played violin lessons, or I took violin lessons, and then after college, I decided I wanted to continue on and be able to continue what I had learned all through school, and I continued to play in Orchard Park Symphony for many, many years. And I could not have done that had I not been able to have the support here through the STING program that has been so strong for such a long time. I also, I don't want to go any more time about myself, but I'm particularly here because of what everyone else in supporting the Strings are also going on, and it seems like it's like one more voice, but I would like very much to say that having one person, one teacher teaching grades 4 through 12 is just unimaginable. And as it has been stated several times, I think through other speakers tonight, just a couple of quick things, such as the elementary school teacher, Denise, she teaches 33 students, 6 and some 5th graders, 27 4th graders, has a 6th grade orchestra meeting twice a week. Mr. Polino has the rest of the grade 5 lessons, which is 20. And he also has a 5th grade orchestra meeting twice a week before school, plus 7 through 12. Each of the lessons is usually scheduled for 30 minutes once a week at the Eden Elementary School. By just having one teacher, that person would be spread so thin for the entire string program that we so want to continue as well as it has in the past several years and for many years. It's really an absurd idea, and we know that the board is up against. It's been very difficult, and you have a lot of decisions to make. But what we're asking is, if it's at all possible to not touch the string program, if at all possible. The elementary teacher right now, Mrs. Ullman, is really performing a full-time job in part-time hours, and this past year she's even been cut even further. So we do understand where you are coming from, that you do need to make cuts, but we just want to emphasize how important it is, and we are very much interested in keeping the program going as strong as it has been. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for letting me talk. My name is Colleen Gaglione. I'm a PTA board member and a mother of 3 Eden children. I have a 5th grader who just talked, so hopefully I'll be able to talk as good as he did. He had some wonderful teachers.
You did a good job.
A 10th grader and a senior. All 3 are string players and have been since 4th grade. I'm very concerned that cutting a teacher from that position will put a lot of stress on the teacher that you're expecting to teach 4th through 12th grade. One of my children have a 504 and an IEP, and I don't know if you took away
more structure and supervision, that they would actually be able to help those children. So I think it would take that away from them. I also agree with Mrs. Springborn that they did not get their musical abilities from my husband or I. So we're lucky that these kids coming out are taught by all the people in Eden. We also learned firsthand this year. It was like 9 years ago when my 12th grader came home. He was 3rd grade. The letter said, "Your child has chosen to play an instrument." I was like, oh, please no. So he chose the instrument twice his size. We went into the meeting and they talked to us about the importance of playing an instrument. And one of those things was, when your child gets ready to go to college, it may be the distinguishing factor of why your child gets into college. And we found out firsthand, my son is an athlete, he plays 3 sports, so it's not that he wasn't distinguished that way. But 2 of the colleges did say that they were very impressed that these kids are well-rounded in this school. Music, sports, and education. Those 3 things need to go together. And also, I would like to personally thank Mrs. Allman. 5 years ago, she took her own personal time to teach my 2 children and 3 other children from this district who have moved on and are in college, to teach them the national anthem of their country where they were born, Columbia. And she had them present it and play the music for the woman who owned the orphanage where they were from. So I'd just like to thank her for that. And thank you. I know you have a hard job.
Hello, my name is Heather Martino. I am here today as a parent as well as an educator. I'm concerned about the possibility of the P-TECH program not continuing due to budget cuts for the 2016-2017 school year. The program offers an opportunity for those students that do not thrive in a traditional academic setting. I'm aware that the BOCES program is an option, however, that does not begin until 11th grade, and for some of those students, it might be too late. I urge you to please consider the benefits of this program and the impact the program could have on some of our own children. Thank you for your time and your service on the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Lori Malkowski. I've been teaching 6th grade at the elementary building for 20 years. Though I could talk about the music program and how outstanding it is, I'm here to address the proposed cut of a classroom teacher at 6th grade next year. There are currently 103 students in 5th grade. 23% of those students require AIS reading service. 1/3 of these students are Tier 3 students, which means they are in serious need of remedial services. 24% of this year's 5th grade class receives AIS math services. 13% have IEPs and several more, over half a dozen, have 504s. Please be aware that there is an overlap of students who receive both reading and math AIS services. These numbers suggest that at a minimum, 40% of the current 5th grade class is in need of remedial services to succeed. These students are now divided into 5 classrooms with at least 20 students in each class. If these students are put into 4 sections, class size will increase to 25 to 26 students. This assumes that no new students enter the district. We usually get 4 to 5 students over the summer before school resumes. This past year, 6th grade had 10 new students move in 2 weeks before school started. Of these 10, 7 qualified for remedial services. I personally can't remember a year we didn't get a new student during the class year too. Over the years, I've worked with varying class sizes, and not surprisingly, I know I do a better job managing my class, covering curriculum, and interacting with my students and parents when my class sizes are smaller. I can give my students the individual attention they need and deserve. Last year, for example, I had one class of 28 students. I honestly know in my heart that that class did not get the same as my classes that were smaller. Studies demonstrate that smaller class sizes showed 3 months more growth in classrooms with better than 22 students. Also, the current 4th grade is at 170 students. So by the time they get to 6th grade and we have additional move-ins, we could be up to 29 to 30 students in a class. Now I teach science and I set up my labs, and even with the 28 last year, you were walking over each other trying to set up any kind of real learning time. I'm asking you to please consider other options when considering cutting an entire class in 6th grade next year. I believe that our students are more than just numbers, or we can stick this many into a class. Thank you.
Hi, Ellen Kindly, soon to be retired 6th grade teacher. I'm the one that is not going to be replaced apparently, and that's why I'm here. But first of all, I just want to, listening to everything that was being said about the music program, I just got to invite every one of you to go to that district concert that's coming up on the 31st. If you have never been, it's the most wonderful thing to see those students, grades 4 through 12, all play together, and you can see the progress that they make, and what a wonderful accomplishment our teachers do every single year. So that is so wonderful. But I'm not here to talk about that. I dragged myself off my couch. I would rather be there right now watching TV, but I'm really upset about the thought of this cut. Before I came here, I checked out our district website, and I was just looking at some of the things that we have written about our own school. It starts out describing our district our district has long been recognized in the Western New York area for its outstanding academic achievement, which is true. And then I went to reread the mission, vision, and belief statements. I had a hand in writing those statements several years ago as part of CDUP, and I remember struggling over each and every word because we wanted to choose the exact sentiments that embraced what we really felt and believed as Eden teachers and administrators. So, and the mission statement contains these phrases. The Eden Central School District pursues our tradition of excellence in personal and academic achievement. Another statement is, students are afforded the tools and opportunities to realize their potential within our global society. Our vision statement says, in part, the Eden Central School District is a collaborative learning community that embraces the individuality of each student. And our belief statements contain these. Decisions should be based on what is best for students. All students should have access to appropriate educational opportunities. All students should have the opportunity to experience success. I am very concerned that cutting a 6th grade teacher will jeopardize our students' opportunities to achieve academic success. Our 6th grade team is professional, knowledgeable, and hardworking. I've been privileged to work with them, and I know that they will do their best, their professional best, to provide the best education for each of those students. But when you cram 25, 26, 27 students into a classroom, you know that the time to individualize, to spend with each student, is going to be decreased. I love 6th grade students. They're funny, they're curious, they're intelligent, but they're also preteens. They're figuring out how to deal with puberty, the opposite sex, their own developing individuality, social media. There's so many pressures that are out there. On top of that, they are faced with a very difficult curriculum that New York State is requiring of them. And many of them, as you've heard, cannot negotiate that curriculum independently without a lot of academic extra assistance with academic interventions. Please go back and reflect on that belief statement that says decisions should be based on what is best for students. Is this really the best decision? I know that the budget is tough. This is always a tough time, and I know it's especially bad this year. But I want you to really reconsider this cut, because I'm alarmed that this will have a very negative impact on our students' academic achievement. And I do want what's best for them, even though I'm going to be sitting home next year watching TV or doing whatever. It's not going to be my concern, but it is my concern because I care about these students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Sue Schnaufer. Many of you know I wear many hats here, and I'm very passionate about most of them. My first hat I'm going to wear tonight is called teacher. In regards to the 6th grade cut, I want you to understand that putting too many kids in one class not only impacts what Ellen and Lori talked about, but it impacts computer lab. We only have 26 computers in the instructional lab. So when you're starting to talk about 26, 27, 28 kids, I can't accommodate all of that. On the music side of being a teacher, I want to tell you that Denise Allman and I spent after school today with about 15 to 20 kids in the computer lab, adding to a project that I have in my class, another slide for a PowerPoint on a biography, because she's going to use it at the district concert as a public display. She not only brings music to the kids, she brings culture, she brings education, and she's very cross-curricular. If somebody's teaching 4th through 12th grade, we're going to lose those opportunities with the kids, and we really do. Denise and I do this every year. We do a powerful thing with the kids, and we bring a lot to them. The next hat I'm going to wear is called Parent. And you saw my little 4th grader who's been playing with Denise since he was a 3rd grader in her orchestra. He plays 2 instruments. He plays the violin with her, and he plays the bassoon with Denise Allman, and was the only 4th grader in the Erie County Band this year of 110 kids. Your music teachers did that. They have a very powerful impact on my children, all 5 of them, but Mitchell especially. He'll tell you his reason for going to school is to play music. He loves to go to the BPO. We were there the week before he would play it on the stage at Klein Hands, watching a concert. And the next week he was on that stage. That's very powerful. I'm also concerned about my children when they get to 6th grade. I have twins. I don't want them in a class of 25, 26, or 27. They're very bright little boys. Yeah, will they survive? Yep, they'll survive because they've got great parents. But is their educational experience going to be inhibited? I believe it will be. So I really want you to think about those things, and I know it's tough, and I appreciate each and every one of you for the job you do. I wouldn't sit there for $1 million, and I know it's tough, but I really want you to think about what's really best for the kids, and if there's other things that we can do. I was instrumental in helping to get the music boosters off the ground. I'm passionate. I'm a community member. You can see my husband's passion. We really try to do what's best for this community. And the last hat I'm going to wear is musical director. And thank you for your support of the musical. I do want to tell you that we do pay our fair share of the musical costs as far as personnel. We pay stipends. I did receive a bill today for custodial services for Saturday night to be able to have the musical here of $377. So as a musical group, we do contribute to the running of the school by giving back. And I want to let you know, I know Mrs. Angelo got my email this week. That musical is a family. We had a special ed child who was able to introduce the show and hang out and spend time with the kids. And at our closing cast party, a football player got up and roasted him and congratulated him and brought us all to tears. I had a 7th grader working hand in hand with a senior on learning about being a stage manager. Those 2 would have never met had it not been for the musical. Many, many stories, many kids are impacted. And the orchestra is a big part of our musical. If we don't have kids to play the music, we're going to end up having to pay professionals. That gets very expensive. We won't be able to have a musical if we have to have increasing expenses all the time. We try to keep our ticket prices relative to the rest of the communities around us. You know, it's an average of $9 a ticket to come see our musical. That's a great deal for the kind of production that we're able to put on each year. So there's just a lot of things to consider, and like I said, I wouldn't want to sit in your seats for $1 million. But I do hope you take some of the things that the people have said here to heart. Music creates a well-rounded child. I was a musical student myself. I was a music. I did many things. A lot of those things I've carried into my adult life. You know, I lead the musical. I sing in my church choir. I teach my children music. It's a lifelong skill, you know, and it's something that really sets us apart from other creatures on our planet. So I really hope you think about it. 4th through 12th grade, that's a lot of students. I don't know how one person could physically do justice to that job. And I really understand that this is a tough place to be, but I hope that you can think about what's best for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Whitmer. I'm a parent. Mrs. Conley, nobody can replace you. Everyone is talking about art and music as though they're separate from the mathematics department. And art and music are the visual and oral personifications of mathematics. There is no music without math. There is no art without geometry. Pythagoras actually wrote a fairly extensive treatise on the mathematics of music. For some people, they don't know they're learning math, but they are. Kind of like that commercial where the kids are eating their beans and their parents are doing the happy dance because they're eating vegetables, and the kids are doing the happy dance because they aren't eating vegetables. I do understand that there are extensive budget issues. 6 or 7 years ago, when this all started, when we were having greater and greater difficulties making our budget, the board had joined and was talking with other school districts about going after our state legislature to get our money back. And I wanted to know whether or not our board is still working in conjunction with other school districts. And just as with the teachers getting the parents involved and making a lot of noise about problems with the Common Core, I'm all for Common Core, but not about the way they wanted to use it. And forcing our legislature to take a new look at it, why are we not making the same noise about having our budgets restored? That makes absolutely no sense to me. This is an extremely involved community. When we've had PTA write-ins or phone-ins or fax-ins, we've shut the state's fax machines down. It's time to somehow find a way to get the community to start calling on their legislators, ring their phones off the hook. We are not the only district suffering. Like I said, a few years, 6 or 7 years ago, when this really started, there was an organization of multiple school boards in this area that was supposed to be pursuing that. And I haven't seen anything about that. If anybody has any thoughts or can tell me where to go.
Sure. I'd be more than happy to answer that. First and foremost, you can go to the district homepage, and there is a list of our current representatives, and that would be your best bet, right? Call, not once, not twice, but over and over. I couldn't agree with you more. We need to be louder. It needs to happen more often, but it can't just happen at a school board level. School boards are actively involved. I don't want you to think that they're not. It's happening all over. But the problem is when you get the same group of people calling and writing and meeting, it tends to get a little old. The message has to come from other people. So since I'm talking right now before everybody sneaks out, I will say, please, I couldn't agree with every person who spoke. I agreed 100% with what they said. I'm a parent. My child plays an instrument. She plays the violin. And she's going to be going to 6th grade in a mere year and a half, probably. This is all very frightening and disturbing to me on so many levels. This is not what I want for her. This is the unfortunate reality of where we are. We just talked at the BAT meeting. We're literally trying to get blood from a stone at this point. I mean, there are no more easy decisions to make. Everything is extremely painful, and it has been for the last few years. So I am publicly begging, not asking, I am begging people to write, to call. We will be working together. We will be putting things out there, I think, on a more, we'll be more vocal about possibly having rallies, collectively picking days, or we'll call one person and we'll bombard that person with phone calls. I mean, this is not going to be an easy fight, but it's one that's worth.
Will those be in the newsletter or through the Penny Saver or through?
I haven't
So the conversation that we had, Jen and I and Tom actually met with Senator Gallivan last week, as we do every single year, and the rallies that we attend in Albany that gets attended. And what we know is that the rallies in the spring are too late. And so this has gone on for 4 years longer than it should have or more. So the rallies in the fall make sense to us, and we've already started to talk about that. But there are 8 people or so sitting at this table. I mean, just this week, Jen sent a letter out to the staff for them to do that. And we're hoping that that turns into the same thing with friends and people they know, almost like a Facebook. Because what we're up against is, and I would say this emphatically, happening the way that it was intended to by New York State government. This is no surprise. This is not an unintended consequence. It's exactly what was intended to happen. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is David Booster. I'm one of the parents here opposite. Thank you for letting me speak this evening, and thank you for all for serving on the board. In 1997, when my wife and I were deciding where we were going to move to start raise our family, we could have gone anywhere in Western New York. I was committed to Western New York. I grew up in Western New York. We settled on Eden in particular because of the strong school system. There's many places we could go where the schools were maybe huge, gigantic, lots of funding, lots of enrollment, and all that sort of stuff, but that has its own set of problems and difficulties if you happen to be one of the students attending there. Vice versa, you can go the other way, be a very small community, and have nothing available to you other than your core classes. We opted to move here, though, because we found that everything was covered, all options available, and we were still in a very close-knit community type of setting. You know, there was a good academic program, and this is back as far as I know, but this is specifically when we were reviewing it in 1997 and 98. There was a good academic program here. Eden's always had a very strong athletic program. You know, I myself went to Lakeshore, one of the rivals in regards to the volleyball realm. So they've always had a definite good competitive athletic program. They've always had a good music program as well. I myself was not a music participant in high school, but it is something I wanted to have as an option for our children, regardless of what they might have. There were also various extracurricular clubs that the school had, run by either volunteers or actually official school-sponsored clubs. And additionally, there was also support in regards to special ed needs for things. Because I myself, when I was in 4th grade, I had to go to remedial reading and all that sort of stuff, and I had the special teachers and everything like that. So I wanted to make sure that those types of services would be available as well. What I would hope going forward is that all students have those same opportunities. Because there's a few things that I regret not taking advantage of when I went through school. I don't regret not being on the football team. I still know how to play football, and I did it with my friends. I don't regret not being on the basketball team. I still learned to shoot hoops, and I did that with my friends. Same with most of the sports, soccer, baseball, I did all that. Then going forward, when I was in college and stuff, learning the correlation and the link between music in particular and arts and the visual and auditory expression of those, and the aspect it has in regards to cognitive development. It was unbelievable to me when you see the folks that maybe are not strong in a particular academic area, how they flourish in the arts. Whether they're a visual artist, whether they're sculpting, whether it has to do with what they're saying, speaking, singing, playing on an instrument. When you actually go through the brain scans, when I was taking neurophysiology, this is part of my coursework, and we actually got to see and witness, look at the activity that a child's brain encounters and creates as they go through the different artistic modalities. They are equally comparable to all the academic ones. And as was previously pointed out, they are inexorably linked to each other. So I would hate for someone else to look back like I did and say, boy, the one thing I wish I did learn to do when I was in school was play an instrument. The one thing I wish I had known how to read from school was actually read music. Things that I don't know how to do now. This is all thoughts that I've had since then. We've not pushed our children in any direction, but we chose to move here because they had all the options available, and we could support them in wherever their interest happened to lead them. Looking forward, and your position is not enviable at all to have to make these decisions, I would hope that no student is missing an option that they might want to explore or take advantage of just because the program got hamstrung because of lack of people to teach it. Just because an entire department or an entire program was cut out because it could not be effectively implemented or maintained just due to a budget cut or staffing solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item B, no resignation. So item B, appointments. All appointments will not be effective in service to the district pursuant thereto shall not begin until there has been compliance with statutory and regulatory provisions for fingerprinting certification and clearance for employment. Here are the recommended motions. Number 1, appoint election inspectors. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Mrs. Rita Stir, head inspector, Mrs. Bonnie Cordell, Mrs. Karen Cornell, Mrs. Marianne Comiskey, and Mrs. Ann Sheehan and Mrs. Marianne Fellon be appointed as inspectors for the annual meeting and budget vote on May 17th, 2016, at a rate of $13.40 per hour, and further authorize the district clerk to fill any vacancies in these positions which may occur prior to May 17th, 2016, with individuals from the Board of Elections Inspector Personnel List.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Appoint bus attendant, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Margaret Sullivan be appointed on probation as a bus attendant for 2 hours per day effective March 28th, 2016, and ending November 28th, 2016. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 4, step 1.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Approve transportation hour changes, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hours for bus attendant Judy Gustus Stoy, thank you, be increased from 1.5 to 3.5 hours per day effective February 26, 2016.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Approve transportation hour change, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hours for bus driver Charles Schuster be increased from 3.5 to 3.75 hours per day effective February 26, 2016.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Approve overnight band trip, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the 52nd annual overnight band trip to Toronto, Ontario, April 29th to the 30th, 2016 be approved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Approve FBLA overnight field trip, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the FBLA overnight field trip to attend the State Leadership Conference at the Rochester Riverside Convention Center, April 13th to the 15th, 2016 be approved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Approve technology overnight field trip, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the technology overnight field trip to attend the Donnie Smith Bike and Car Show in St. Paul, Minnesota, March 31st to April 4th, 2016 be approved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Authorize contract with Erie Two BOCES, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education authorize contracting with Erie Two Chautauqua Cattaraugus BOCES for claim auditing services for the month of March 2016.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Approve resolution for cooperative bidding, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the attached resolution be approved, authorizing Eden Central School District to participate with other school districts and Erie Two BOCES in the joint bidding of items listed in the attachment.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried.
Approve refinancing of serial bonds that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the refunding bond resolution authorizing the refinancing of certain serial bonds of the district that were issued in 2006 to achieve debt service savings be approved.
Second.
Discussion?
What I would like to say is, obviously, refinancing bonds at a lower rate, obviously, you have a chance to save money. If we end up doing this for next year, the savings is $22,000, and then $22,000 the year after, $23,000 the year after that, and then it goes down a little bit for a total savings of $125,000 over the course of the bonds.
Who are we working with on it?
Capital Market Advisors.
That's nice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
Approve legal notice that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the legal notice for the annual district meeting and vote be approved as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
Nominations for BOCES Board, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the following individuals be nominated for the BOCES Board of Education. I don't have those names. Are they here? Where?
On that little box on your computer screen.
Oh, sorry.
The link didn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work for me either.
It might work for me.
Mine's now like frozen.
Oh, the little box behind my, oh, my wheel is spinning.
Did, Barb, do you know if that does include the lady from East Aurora?
What's her name?
I
Cannot open link.
You know what?
You have them in
Links
front of
March
you, Barb.
2016, hold on. Does it approve?
I think it does, Mike.
I want to
can't
say
even
it's
find
Kelly,
it.
maybe?
Oh, wait, what is this?
We have,
Oh, no, that's a calendar.
Here, I can merge.
here's the list, but I don't know how to make out the list. Here's the attachment. Call for nominations.
So Ronald Carolano, Linda Hoffman, Joanne Martin, Nita Ray.
Thomas DeJoe, David Lowry, Christine Schnars, Richard Vogan, Sylvester Cleary, Gary DeLellis, Nancy Renkins, and Nancy Stock. Some of them are incumbents already. When do you need the nominations by, Barb?
I have to send it to them by Friday.
By Friday. I can tell you that Ron Catalano is a incumbent, Linda Hoffman is an incumbent, Joanne Martin is an incumbent, Anita Ray is an incumbent, and the rest are new nominations.
Everyone I know is Linda.
Linda's been on the board for a long time. Springville resident.
Do you need them up on the board? Put them up.
I don't know. Do we need them up for people to look at?
You have to nominate.
We have to.
Do we have to?
We have to nominate now.
Correct.
So there are 4 incumbents?
Oh, yeah, then can you put
There
them
are
up so,
4
because I'm
incumbents
visual?
and 1 vacant seat, not running
No.
again. Do you want to switch, toggle?
So, give me that. 4.
Sorry.
We only have to nominate 4, right? Correct. Yes. So, I make a motion that we nominate the 4 incumbents.
There's only 3 incumbents running though, right?
Oh, I thought you had 4.
Is there any?
I thought you had
Are there
Nita,
4?
Joanne, Linda, and Ronald.
Ronald Catalano.
He's up. And then the new ones underneath that.
So are the ones that are bold incumbents, Barb? So there are 4 incumbents and
And
the
the
rest are
5th
new.
one not running.
So there's,
And we only have 4 slots to nominate.
Right.
yes.
I make a motion, we nominate the 4 top incumbents.
Second. Discussion?
Who said second?
I did.
Freedom, we'll give it to him. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carried.
Approve accessing of technology equipment, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, technology equipment be accessed and disposed of as the district deems necessary.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
Approve Apex Memorandum of Understanding. Is that how we say it? Apex? Okay. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Apex Memorandum of Understanding be approved as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
Approve amended 2015-16 district calendar, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the amended 2015-16 district calendar be approved as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in
I should.
favor?
So what the amended calendar is, for those of you who can't see it, is 2 scheduled days off One is from the entire district being open. One is Monday, March 28th, and the other one is Friday, May 27th. On Monday, March 28th, Siemens, who helps us run our cogen plant, will be here to help us shut down the entire district. In order to do that, Lucinda has to get up at 4 in the morning to shut down the technology department and then put it back up. I was joking about the 4, it's probably 5, but then come back in later on and turn it back on. Our hope is that we're not offering the students Tuesday off as well, because we want everything to come back up. But, so that's what that's about. And then the one in May would be for some other reason that we have to shut things down and make sure that somebody else is open on a regular school day to help us get it back up if we have a problem. These are all in anticipation of changes, modifications that we need to do for the capital project.
Can I ask a question? Because we didn't use a lot of our snow days, we're able to actually use
That's why we can do this, absolutely. Last year, you never would have been able to, so the timing is just perfect. Yep, and we can utilize this time. As much as we're all kind of nervous about shutting things down, we're really grateful that the weather's letting us do this. That's a good point, Patty.
All right, anyone else? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carried.
Approve interscholastic athletics sharing agreement, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the interscholastic athletics sharing agreement between Eden North and North Collins football for the 2016-17 school year be approved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
That upon the recommendation, approve appropriations increase, that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the 2015-16 appropriations be increased by $3,443.73 to $27,077,635.72 to account for increased revenues.
Second.
Discussion?
Just to thank all those who make this happen. Sometimes it's little hands and scissors cutting out box tops and people who come and give us donations, so we're really grateful for all of this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carried.
Okay.
And thank you.
Item 6, information and proposals, the business report.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so for the business report, well, you've obviously already heard a lot from me tonight regarding the budget. So I definitely wanted to see if there's anything additional that was want to be asked, but I also wanted to make sure that I updated you on the board budget adoption dates. So what we're actually looking at in terms of timeline for this is our next meeting is scheduled at this point for April 5th. After that, April 22nd. The budget must be adopted by the board by April 22nd.
So I'm going to make a recommendation. We do this every year, so we should just plan on it every year. Is April 5th is already on our calendar as a special board meeting and a BAT meeting. So the BAT meeting is when we do discuss the actual numbers in the budget at 5:45, and then the board meeting at 7. That's on April 5. I would like to make a recommendation to the board that you tentatively adopt another date for a board meeting, which would be Wednesday, April 13th, just in case you are not ready to adopt the budget on the 5th. But I would ask that that board meeting begin at 6 p.m. so that the board president could attend the town council meeting, which starts at 7:30. That was a question. So we're
It works for me.
That's fine.
That's okay? So a special board meeting extra, April 13th at 6 p.m.
That's if we need it.
Just in case you need it, if the board does not adopt on the 5th, I would highly ask you to adopt on the 13th, and I'm going to ask Barb to explain once again why April 22nd is too late. Can you use the mic, though? Because your voice is not loud today. Yes.
Okay, on April the 18th, anybody who's submitting a Board of Education petition has to have it in by that day. On April the 19th in the morning, by law, I have to have the lot draw to see what order you're all going in on the ballot. And I have to get that information to the paper with the legal notice adjusted, and it just gets real goofy if I don't have everything in on time.
So the 22nd just makes it really complicated.
Not only that, we have to do all the budget numbers, the three-part component for the newsletter, and that takes a while to get all those numbers from Tom.
Well, because by the 25th, we need to transmit that information out. So it's not that you don't have time, but you're cutting it close for 3 days. It's very close. So the 25th is when we need to send that information out for publication. Also, just so everyone here knows, those budget books are also in each school as well as the district office. So even if you're not reading in the paper,
The
it is
budget
there.
books?
Yep.
And the last piece is I also have to have all the information for the absentee ballots that I have to order because sometimes those take a while to come in, but I have to have those ready for when people start looking for them. And I need
worry,
all
Barb.
those numbers for
Michael
those.
said, don't worry,
we'll get
Barb.
done by the 13th.
She would be really grateful to you.
The next date for everyone to keep in mind, so we've talked 4 dates. The next date for the community to hear, May 3rd, there is a budget hearing meeting. And then after that, then on May 17th is the budget vote.
So just a couple of points that I'd like to bring up. So some that we brought up at the community forum on Saturday and some that were brought up earlier today at the BAT meeting. One of the things that I consistently hear is that we are losing some teachers, but I would also like to bring to the attention that we are a school district that is right now in the midst of 2 crises: enrollment decline and financial budget decline. If we were a school district that didn't have financial budget declines, we would still have enrollment declines. So we would still be making some decisions based on how many students we have. When I came to the district in March of 2013, the senior cohort was in the 150s. Our incoming kindergarten this year next is 79. So there are just some natural changes that will occur over the course of the next 10 years. If in fact the New York State wasn't creating a financial decline, there wouldn't feel the pressure to try to fix some of that in front of what feels natural to us. This year, there's a planned 4th grade cut for an incoming 4th grade class of approximately 88. So rather than 5 teachers in 4th grade, there will be 4 teachers in 4th grade. Because of the way special areas work, art, music, computer, tech at the elementary school, there will be the associated decline in most, if not all, of those specials. So when we talk about a decrease in an art teacher's schedule, it's not a loss of program, it's just not a class of students for that teacher to be teaching at 4th grade. The other thing that would be important for me to share, and one of the things that we didn't have on Saturday, but we do have them now, is the way that the high school does its scheduling process. And it does it, for the most part, if it's not a core area, a required class. So a required class, social studies 9, social studies 10, social studies 11, and 12, is by electives. Students each year are asked to state what it is that they want to take. And so we use that to create the schedule. So it's not a static schedule from year to year. One year you could have 15 kids asking to take a particular elective, and the next year you could have 6. And so there's this natural process that needs to happen at the high school about what you offer and you don't. Earlier, Mr. Sutphin said that our per student cost is very high, and let me suggest to you why that's the case. At a larger school district in the north towns, there are more students wanting to take an elective than there are sections. So every year, there are kids who are closed out of an elective. For the most part, we don't close anybody out of an elective except for technology classes. All the rest of them, it's more a matter of trying to fit the electives into a schedule that is unyielding because we have teachers traveling between buildings, because we have constraints, because we just don't have enough kids to get into as many electives as we offer. So we do offer the electives that the schools north of us do. We don't look south and see what our adjacent districts south of us offer, because they offer a whole lot less. And there was one parent who said that, and he's spot on. The problem is, year after year after year, we have fewer and fewer students to divvy up into all of these classes. This is another area. So earlier today at the BAT meeting, when we talked about guidelines and class sizes, is what's a guideline in the number of students to take a class? If in fact a student is asking to take French in our school district, we might very well start with a class of 27 when they're a freshman or when they're in 7th grade. But by the time we get to the senior year, there might only be 7. We're offering that program now, and no one is suggesting that we cut that program now. But again, it becomes a more expensive program because we're offering it to 7 students instead of 28 or 29. So I would just like to say that if the projected enrollments do not change, and we are working with the town government. I meet with Missy Hartman as the new town supervisor, and I met with Glenn Nellis when we were here before monthly, and we are working with other school districts to try to do something differently, a transportation summit, so that we're not all traveling to Ormsby at the same time. We already share staff with North Collins. We already share programs with North Collins. We have another district that's asking to come in and share another sport with us, because we do offer it and the schools south of us don't. But if the projections don't change and the students do not come into Eaton, for whatever the reasons that might be, I'm being told it's a great school district, people see that, but they're not moving here, we will be at a total of 1,256 students in 1920. That is, by all measures, considered a small school. And I can't find a small school that can afford to offer everything. And if I could quote the gentleman who was so eloquent, and I think it was Emily's dad, we cover everything and we do offer everything. But with 1,256 projected kids in 19 and 20, physically, we won't be able to do that, because there will be 79 to 80 kids in every grade. And that's the complication. So it's not just finances. It is a projected decline in enrollment that is also causing the problem. And every time we cut a program, we sweat because we have to have a teacher going to another building. Well, that's not efficient, because now they're not teaching a full schedule. So I need to state that we're in a double bind between finances and enrollment.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
This may be controversial, but I'm going to say it anyways. Why? With the enrollment falling so greatly over the next few years, and it's projected, and we have to live by that projection, was it pushed so hard in this community to have $1 million or whatever the turf field put in? We're not even going to have the kids to play on this field.
So I'll give you my perspective. There may be another board member who has one. Is over 60% of our students are enrolled in some aspect of athletics. Our PE classes also can use the field. Our hope is that if people come to Eden and play here on a field that is not full of mud and holes, that perhaps they will also say, you want to know what, it's not that far south of Hamburg, and that they may move here.
Like with the sports, okay, so you have the kids, you may have enough to fill a team, but you have no kids as backups. So now those kids are getting hurt on the field, especially a turf field, when they're playing the whole darn game. There's nobody to help them out.
So what the board has agreed to in the past couple of years is taking a look at the enrollment in each of the sports fields and saying, we can do a 7, 8, 9 program and a 10, 11, 12. And that's been incredibly successful, and the kids that I have talked to have been excited about that. I don't know if there's anybody else who wants to jump in on any of this, because I don't want to.
And it's a multi-purpose field. It's not like it's just football. It can be used year-round.
I think for the exact reasons that we're talking about, though, with declining enrollment, I think we as a district are trying to attract families. And like it or not, curb appeal is a big part of attracting families to a school district. You're not going to want to drive by and look at dilapidated buildings and things that haven't been updated. And when we're trying to compete with bigger districts that do offer already more than we do, as far as, you know, the number of APs and the number of electives or whatever, we need something to draw them in. And I think we can't just throw up our hands and say, well, this is what it is, and let's just, you know, shut the doors and turn off the lights and walk away. I think we have to make sure that we've done our part to not only make this an inviting place for the kids who are already here, but for any potential families who want to move in. And I think that will help draw people in. It's not going to be the be-all, end-all, but I think it'll be a big part of it. I know personally of families, I have friends who looked to move back into the area from the south. They wanted land, they wanted to build a house, drove through Eden, looked at the school, and my friend's husband was a huge sports guy, said absolutely not. And they just kept going. That's one family, but I do believe that where there's smoke, there's fire. And if there's one, there's probably more. So I think it would be in the best interest of everybody to try. The money was there. The reimbursement rate is there for us. If we don't take it, we've said this before, somebody else will. My hope is that the town, the new life that has been breathed into the town board, will take another look at developing. We're never going to be a big town, but we need more than what we have.
We just like to keep what we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think with the survey that we're doing, we're going to get some idea of what kids want in sports. And we heard from everyone tonight about the music program. I think we need to balance it out. I think that we need to look at some other areas without going always to like music and arts, where we find out what kids, like last year we didn't have enough students for a football team. So we put out a survey to see what the kids are going to want. And I'm all for sports and expanding them if we can, because I'm the one that came up with trying to implement a rifle team, which will bring in a whole different clientele into the sports that may not go out for sport now, which is what we hope to do. But we have to look at a balance between all of them. And if there's certain teams that aren't going to be able to be run because of the number of students, then we may need to look at cutting those.
So there's two ways that the board has available to them in terms of taking a look at athletics, which is very different than anything else. Title IX will tell you that if you as a Board of Education for budget reasons choose to cut a program, that you have to cut it equal to boys and to girls. Or you as a board can say, you know what, let's let the budget process work its way out, let the enrollment of the kids tell us what it is that they want, and then just not run the program. So we have a fairly decent idea already, moving into the fall, of where a 7, 8, 9 team and then a 10, 11, 12 team might lie, in which case then the savings off of those teams can go into something else or go back into the general fund. So there's two ways of looking at it. So let me give an example. The board could say, now I'm just going to pick on something that is a boys and girls team as one team. We don't want to run a boys and girls cross country anymore. That fits Title IX. But if in fact the board said that they didn't want to run girls soccer anymore for budget reasons, they would also have to cut boys soccer. And it might not be equivalent in the size of the kids that are playing.
Do they have to cut the same sport, or do they have to cut another boys' sport?
It has to be a sport of equivalent interest in the same season. So not necessarily the same sport, because you don't have a girls' football team.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Field
Field hockey, right.
But it's
But
gonna
if
be
in
the same
fact
season.
football doesn't run on its
It has to
own,
be the same season, too.
because you have to offer the opportunity for the child to play. So what has happened in this district, one, by declining enrollment, two, kids doing different things, is we've just stated in June, when it's not a budget cut, we're not running JV girls soccer, so example. And then we do the 7, 8, 9, and the 10, 11, 12, and take the savings from that program and push it towards something different. But the board does have the option of doing both. It's just, go ahead, Jack. I can see you want to say something.
I would simply add, in having, through my position as the president of the Booster Club, I work closely with the athletic department, and they are constantly being creative in how they can address these other situations. The football situation last year was a great evidence of being creative on a problem that was able to be resolved very, very quickly and give some kids opportunities to play. Going to a 7, 8, 9, so modified in a varsity level in soccer, is absolutely, we're open-minded to that. And I know there's been many conversations of those kinds of things. Bringing in North Collins and maybe even other schools in the future to add to a football team is absolutely real possibilities. And so it is my personal belief that what we don't want to do, as many of the parents have suggested, we don't want to limit the opportunities. What we want to do is be creative in how we present those. And we've made great strides in that by not paying for buses to non-league away games and reducing money spent on supplies and on and on and on and on and on. And you don't need me to tell you all the cuts that have happened to sports and other programs. But I think it is incumbent upon this group to not just say cut, but to be creative and to find ways that we can offer all these various things, even though we are a small and becoming smaller school, so that if someone does look to build a house, they may look at Eden. Because though we are small, we respond well, we work together, and we offer many, many things to our students. And I, as a board member, it's not fun, but it's our job not to just sit up here and cut, but to say, let's find a way to make it work with the resources we have and balance all the different things that we're trying to balance.
I'm going to make a motion that a survey be made up.
That is made, Patty. You should have it.
Yeah, but we need to pass a motion.
Yes, but it's made. It would be the one that the board
Yeah,
has
but
seen.
on that, we need to write on there none.
Oh,
also,
okay,
too.
fair enough.
Just if we could add that.
Sure.
Just to get a student's perspective of where they're at. You know, what are you interested in? Going from 6th grade to 12th grade. And let's just see.
So you should make the motion and someone second, then we'll do the discussion and see if there's other amendments that people want.
Sure.
Okay.
I make a motion to submit this, and have the kids do the survey, sports survey.
Second.
Discussion.
So I hear an amendment to the survey that you received in your email, to say none, which is a good point.
Yeah, and just
Okay.
have a choice.
Nope, that's fair.
Maybe they don't want to do anything.
No, it's a great idea. It's
My-
hard for me to conceive that they say no, but okay.
My comment would be, I'm not certain what a survey would do more than what people are showing up to practice. In other words, a child could say they're interested in no sports, or they're interested in soccer, or football, basketball, whatever, but if they don't show up on day one, then what good is a survey going to do? And there's a number of sports here in Eden that we actually cut players because we have such great attendance. And so we can do a survey or not do a survey, but ultimately it's who shows up on day one of practice that is the difference maker.
Well, I guess it's like Sandy had said about a class. She had 50 girls, or 50 people sign up, and only 7 showed up and took the class.
Yeah.
But she put that out there to see what interest there was, and that's what I'm interested in finding out. What is the interest?
And we've done that before with sports. I had a projection. We've had the athletic director give us numbers of potential students for different sports that she knows are going to go. So we've got to have something to go on as far as the numbers. I agree with you. Somebody could say they might go out for cross-country or something and never show up to practice. So, you know, that's a risk we take, that they're going to say, yes, they're going to go out for the sport, and we say, well, we're going to have enough people, and then when it actually comes around, we don't. But now we have nothing to go on.
So a question that I would have on this, as part of this discussion, is, I agree with every point that you made, and I agree with the interest piece, is if the survey comes back and shows a low interest in a sport, again, the board has 2 options in how they cut a sport. Is it part of the budget process, or is it just by normal attrition, and then the savings go into some other area, or give back?
Mine would be that I would not cut through the budget process, that I would wait till after.
We just need the data.
Okay.
I need the data.
So,
That's fine.
is there more discussion on that?
No, I agree with Mike. I mean, just having had worked with middle schoolers, their likes and interests change on a whim. I have no problem.
In a day.
In a minute. I have no problem with the survey, but I just don't want it
to be, yeah, I don't want to put all our eggs in one basket and just assume if there's a low response to the survey or a portion of the survey that means there's no interest. I mean, because as Jack said, I mean, they could show up in droves for something that no one responded to.
Are there any other revisions or amendments that anyone at the board?
I was thinking, how far back do we want to start this survey in the grade in regards to planning? I mean, I know the survey says 6th right now, so that basically comes your
7th grade next year.
Modified incoming class, but if you're starting to plan, don't you want to be looking a little bit farther or deeper into the pipeline? I don't know, is 5th grade, 4th grade too early?
It depends on what the purpose of the survey is. If the survey is for this year only, then the 6 through 11 is what you would want. If in fact it's to take a look at programs down the line, which we've said that we will do with art and music and sports and foreign languages, you could do that now, or you could do that as part of the whole process in programming.
If you're doing it once, you might as well grab as much data as you possibly
Okay.
could.
But we could also grab this from 6 on this year and then see how it corresponds to actually who comes out for the sports. So we have a realistic, if this is even going to work. Because we have 2 people saying that we're going to do this survey, but it doesn't mean that the numbers are going to be true. So, you know, we could go all the way back, and if we're still saying that these are true numbers, what is grabbing 4th or 2nd and the projection of what they're going to do in 2, 4, 6 years going to be?
I'll tell you right now, my 4th grader would say she'll play everything. That's what she would put, and if she had a chance to fill out that, yeah, sure, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that.
Any way you want. It's really okay.
I would-
We're going to do it through classroom teacher and homeroom, probably an early day next week. Get it tallied up in a day or so and be done. So whatever it is that you want is okay.
I think that, Patty, you made the motion 6 through?
6 through 12.
I seconded it.
6 through 11.
Yeah.
11, yeah. Yeah, because we can't project what they're going to do in college.
Jack?
I mean, we can add 5th if in fact that's a compromise. It doesn't matter to me.
No, I'm
It's really
just throwing it out there. How
I
far
mean,
do you want to play
if you
back?
add it, I mean, it's not going to accumulate to the total. I'm assuming you're going to ask what grade they're in.
Yes, it's part of the survey.
So, I
that
mean,
you
you'll
have.
get the data that you need for 6th on up, but also includes the other ones that statistically would fall outside for future planning.
You wanna
I mean,
add
there's no
5th?
harm done by gathering that data.
You want to add?
But it doesn't matter, whatever, I mean,
What is the junior high going to be? 6, 7, and 8?
Your middle school will be
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 starting in the 2018 school year.
So I think probably going to 5th. That
Okay.
would be smart.
Okay. Does somebody want to revise the motion then?
What did you say?
Because they're coming up into,
What did you say?
go add 5th.
That's fine. I'll second that one.
Discussion?
I would simply add that because there's, I wanted to, we'll make another motion. I just wanted to point out that if we have no confidence in the accuracy of this survey, and I will certainly vote for a survey to gather data, but if there's no confidence in the accuracy, I hope that we are not considering making decisions based on 5th graders circling stuff on a piece of paper, when we have lots of data of actual kids who have shown up to practice. And so I'm all in favor of gathering data, I'm all in favor of gathering information, but as Paul said, there's no evidence that there's any accuracy.
We have another comment.
Hold on, we have a...
Finally.
Well, speaking as I'm a senior this year, so obviously this survey wouldn't affect me, but I know from my past experience, I've done sports my whole life, and participation in a survey might be a little bit tricky because if you give students a survey to take home, chances are they're not going to do it.
So we're just going to do it in homeroom. How does that change your comment?
And, well, I mean, a lot of students, well, and senior don't have homeroom, but I'm just, with participation, it's always been tricky. So even with Spirit Week, we have low participation, so, I mean.
Most surveys, if you get 14% back, it's considered good.
Isn't that
Right.
amazing? 14%. We might reach out to you for some ideas then, okay? All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Back to you.
I'm done.
He's done.
I'm done.
Wow.
So So there's a motto that keeps coming up over the course of the past couple of years, but it's getting stronger and stronger, is how does Eden do things differently, but still maintain the programs that it has, so that we don't become like a small school that just can't offer the enriched and extended programs. And I heard that over and over tonight, and it was eloquent, everybody who stated it, from the students to their parents. So a couple of other things that I'd like to say in terms of the capital project update is this coming Friday and then again on March 31st, we have design committees that have been invited to come and talk about different pieces of the project that the architects are interested in. Certainly those won't be the only 2 days, and I doubt that we'll be finished on both of those, but it certainly gets us started. The project goal right now is for Young and Wright to submit the plan in August of 2016 so that we can break ground the earlier part of spring of 2017. Another thing that the district is looking at and trying to increase our revenues is a non-resident tuition policy. Currently, we have a policy that doesn't allow for non-resident tuition, but I have reached out to the Board of Education to allow me to do some research into this for as early as 16 and 17 school year. There are a lot of legalities around it, an awful lot of regulations, but every process of every district that I have spoken to looks different. And so I reached out to the New York State Resource Bank today to see if someone could help me along the way on how to go about this. So for example, the district could decide that it wants to charge a certain amount of money for a non-resident tuition student to come. What has to happen, though, and based on what you said earlier, Mr. Sutton, it probably doesn't matter, because if we charge too much, we have to give it back. So we can't overcharge the cost of a student to educate them at Eden. However, what we would want to make sure of, if in fact the board wants me to pursue this any further, is that we wouldn't explode our class sizes at grades 7 through 12, are the only ones that I would look at, possibly 9 through 12, and that we not only maintain classroom guidelines, but that we have a policy that allows us to understand when the number would cause us to hire another teacher, which is not the intent in doing this. It's just to make sure that our cost per capita goes down and that we're actually having students to enroll. It seems as like it's a good year to try to do it with Immaculata closing. We already have had some parent phone calls. So have some of the other administrators to state that their child's been going to a smaller school, and that they are a resident of a larger adjacent school district, and they would much prefer to come to us, and certainly we'd like to have them come as well.
If we can't overcharge, could we undercharge?
You can undercharge. There are districts that charge $200 for a student to come.
But let's say it's a special needs child, can we charge based on what the actual cost?
No.
You cannot discriminate based on the needs of a child. So you set a price, and that's what it becomes.
The state has maximum rates of what you can actually charge K-6 for gen ed, special ed. And the state also, also has different rates for 712, gen ed, special ed. Those are the maximum rates that they allow you to charge.
So let's take a stab and say that it's approximately $8,500 for a student. Approximately, it's 712. It's a nice source of revenue if parents want to bring their children here. From what I can see in my research, we have the right to decline a student that had been in trouble with the law, because that would certainly be a concern for us. What we don't have the right to do is to turn back a student with special needs that could easily cost the district $150,000, because we do have students that do cost that much. So it's a roll of the dice.
Do we have the right to refuse a child because we don't have the space?
Yes.
Or the
Yes. I have seen policies in other districts that say we're shutting down enrollment in 7th grade or open enrollment in 9th or 10th because it would cause us to have to hire another staff member. So I have seen that.
So could you justify not accepting a special needs child because it would require us to hire an additional staff member for that special
My
needs?
gut tells me no, because it's discriminatory, but I have seen policies that state that the board can decline a student based on the fact that they will cost more than the board is expecting to pay. So I have a confusion, which is why I've reached out to New York State, because it seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Well, everything seems like a lot.
Right. So I'm hoping to know more by April 5th for you. Should the board want me to move forward, once in fact I have some more information for you, then you would just need to make a motion for us to revise the policy, and then we could play it out and see.
Were we able to get our hands on an app? I know you said a school district had an application process that they
Yeah,
used.
and what I have on that particular one is it was made so many years ago that now they're looking at it and wondering why they shouldn't revise it too. So I'm really trying to reach out to some school districts where it's a little fresher in their minds than that one. So that's my one, is a non-resident tuition. The second one is that honestly, Once Upon a Mattress was just enchanting, absolutely enchanting, and I had no idea what it was going to be about except the pea and the princess. But the kids just had such a phenomenal time, which just made the entire audience just love it as well. And I do want to thank the Music and Arts Boosters for all the work that they did in the I don't know, what do you call the thing you handed out? What do you call this? A what? A rack card?
A bookmarker.
A display card?
Yeah.
I think I like display card better than rack card, yeah.
An informational
I think it's phenomenal. So thank you for all the work, and I know how much work it is to become a 501(c)(3). GOP Math Night last night, Jack Cudahy attended, I think, Jen, were you there?
No, I did not.
You couldn't, Georgia must have been, no, not Georgia.
No,
the
she's
little
at the
one.
elementary.
Yeah, your little one. She's not
Yeah, I
there
should
yet.
have. No, she's not there yet.
She's not there yet. Next time. GOP Math Night was also just so much fun, and so with a huge thank you to all the teachers that spent their night there. I know that the last person drove out at about 9:30 because I was driving by at the same time, but they added a carnival and some clowns, and it was just exquisite. And from what I can understand, Ann Preischel made most of the display boards on the wall and just did it on her own, and they were just delightful. Also, the Arts Week going on is if you walk through the hallways and you watch kids dressing and some adults dressing pretty wacky, it's a super creative way from the arts department to get the kids involved, and we've had student council and some private donations giving out prizes for the best transformation was yesterday. Superman got it. He actually had a 1940 or 1930s typewriter too, so I think maybe he might have been Superman. But that's been an awful lot of fun, and there's an assembly at the end of the week as well. Another point is that the Penny Saver reached out to me last night when I was at the Corn Fest meeting to say that they are more than interested in any articles from the school district of pictures of kids and things, so I'm going to push that out to the teachers as well. Normally, we reach out to Hamburg Sun, and they've done a wonderful job of helping us, but I certainly love to try the Penny Saver because some of our constituents don't buy the Hamburg Sun. And that's all I have.
Can I add one more thing before we go to the board advocacy? Just on budget, real quick. No, just, it will be quick. But it's just in terms of communication, because someone had actually made the point that Tom Murphy actually looks at the enrollment and for the cuts. And I just need to say, just in terms of how the process actually works and for the entire community, our administrative team, and I have to say, I'm actually very proud of our administrative team, have put in countless hours, and I do mean countless hours, looking at all of the classes and all of the options and everything first, non-program related. So it is not a single person, and is not even just a few people, it is an entire team looking at the entire process. So I think they also need to be recognized for the amount of time and effort they're putting in outside of their regular job as well. So they have done an awful lot of work on that. So I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's a good point.
That's me.
That's
Advocacy.
you.
So we did have the opportunity to meet with Senator Gallivan last week, and that was my first face-to-face with him. And I was pleasantly surprised by exactly how knowledgeable he was about the entire situation, and how, for no pun intended, how taxing the whole thing has been. He asked some insightful questions, and I was encouraged by what his thought was for moving forward with education and funding. I still intend to write him. As a parent, I felt like I was kind of reserved in the meeting, one, because we were just pressed for time, and two, I didn't want to come off with the claws out right away. So
Waited just a couple minutes.
yeah, no. So, but I am going to write him very respectfully, but just let him, I still question whether the politicians who are making the decision really understand, though, how hard this impact is on schools, especially a school like Eden. Every single person who stood at that podium tonight, I couldn't agree with them more. I don't dispute anything that anyone's saying, and I'll speak for myself, but I think this applies to everyone. Not one of us wants to sit up here and make any of these cuts. I'm quite honestly tired of talking about cuts, worrying about cuts, where's the money gonna, it's exhausting to think about. And I would love to just sit here and celebrate what education is about and all the great things that we do, but we get tied up in all of this. So for those of you who hung in for the rest of the board meeting, thank you. And I'm just going to, again, say, please, email, call, write. The email addresses are right on the homepage. And not just the governor and our state senator and our state assemblyman, but kind of plant a bug in the town, too. No offense, Mike, but no, things have to change. This is a multifaceted problem, it is. And until we speak, and for those parents who are still here, maybe the kids, I mean, the people in power need to know how this is impacting people on a very personal level. When you read the Buffalo News and you read the editorial sections, a lot of the responses from people are, well, it's just the teachers crying and whining, it's just the superintendents crying and whining about more money, but this is genuinely having an impact on kids. It's not about teachers crying and whining, it's not about superintendents. There are parents who are genuinely concerned. But the notion is that this is just a teacher problem, and it's not. This is a student problem at the very core, because that's why we are here. A school district exists for no other reason than to educate children. So to sit there and say that it's a teacher's problem is just naive. And at the end of the day, every teacher just wants what's best for their students, bottom line. So I can't express enough the importance of making a phone call and writing a letter. It really will make a difference. We just have to keep pushing forward.
And one of the reasons, if I could jump in, that it becomes so important for a community like Eden to write in is because Albany only sees what's around Albany.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand that our teachers have 4 and 5 preps, that they teach 6 or 7 classes in some cases, because where they come from, teachers are teaching 1 prep. That's it, 1 class all day long. And so rural education has its own intricacies that people in Albany just need to hear from you and understand that while, yes, there are school districts out there that have a surplus, we're not one of them. We're not.
No, and our students deserve to have the same opportunities as every other student. We're never going to be a Williamsville, and I didn't move here I moved here because I didn't want to be a Williamsville, but I made an educated decision I did my research as a parent, and I thought, great, this is great. It's small, it's what my husband wanted, but there was enough variety from the person I talked to, I think it was the guidance office, that I felt comfortable. I'm like, this is great. But we run a really severe risk of losing most of that if we don't make sure that our voice is heard. So that's my spiel. We still have time. That's the other little comment I just wrote to myself. I mean, the clock is ticking, but we still have time. When's our April 1st, the budget comes out, right? Yes, no?
March 31st.
March 31st.
March 31st, okay, so we still have time. So write, call, please, thank you.
And we'll put the budget on our website as well, so this draft, we'll put it up there.
So the draft that we went through at the Budget Advisory Team meeting will be up on our website tomorrow.
And we'll stay on Senator Galvin. Senator Galvin gave me the proclamation of the girls volleyball state champions that he presented on the floor of the state capitol. So.
Ooh, very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Excellent.
That is all.
Okay.
And I'll leave that with you so I don't destroy it.
So who's still
sorry.
Jen? So if you could just add that April 13th, Wednesday, April 13th at 6 p.m. in your notes as you go forward on future dates.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay, so future dates, Budget Advisory Team meeting and Special Board of Education meeting Tuesday, April 5th, 2016, 5:45 in the junior senior high school cafeteria. So I'm adding April 13th as another just Budget Advisory Team meeting, correct?
Board.
And special board.
And Special Board of Ed meeting. Same time,
6 o'clock.
6?
April 13th is 6 o'clock, so Mike Burns can get to the town board
And
meeting.
just a board meeting at that point.
No bet.
No bet, just board.
Okay, so scratch everything I just said. Tuesday, April 13th, just a board meeting, 6
p.m.
6 o'clock in this room, correct?
Sure.
No? Yes, no?
That's a tentative date.
Okay.
In this room, hopefully, okay? If the board doesn't adopt a budget April 5th.
Okay, so it's tentative. Great. Moving on, BOCES component vote, Board of Ed meeting Tuesday, April 19th at 7 PM in the junior senior high school cafeteria. The annual budget hearing is Tuesday, May 3rd at 7 PM in the junior senior high school cafeteria. The annual budget vote Tuesday, May 17th from 9 AM to 9 PM in the junior senior high school auditorium foyer. A Board of Education meeting following the vote, Wednesday, May 18th at 7 PM in the junior senior high school cafeteria. And now we move on to anticipated executive session that the Board of Education anticipates entering into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person.
Second. I know.
Should I continue or no?
Go ahead.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
coming.